Hare Krishna. Warm welcome to all of you for today's Gita Live session. The topic what we have selected for discussion today is a very interesting topic, very relevant for all the people who are trying to practice spiritual life while engaged in their so-called worldly duties. We often find difficult to balance the two because our material obligations and duties also expect quality time from us to do justice to those duties. Other side, we also understand that our spiritual pursuits also need a lot of energy, quality time, and at times we might find ourselves riding on two boats with one leg on a boat heading towards material direction and one leg on a boat heading towards an opposite direction. And it may not be a very pleasant experience. So today the discussion is all about that, how we can strike a healthy balance. Before we start the discussion, let's start the session with prayers. I would request all of you, depending on the circumstances at your end, you can also join in offering these prayers. Either you can repeat after me if it permits. Otherwise, you can just fold your hands and be with me while I chant these prayers. We'll start with the prayers now. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratushe Namaha Namo Brahmane Devaya Go Brahmane Hitaya Cha Jagadhitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So today's discussion is based on the teachings, the insights from Srila Prabhupada, who is my spiritual master, and all credit goes to him for whatever little knowledge I have and which I'll be sharing with all of you today. So I have broadly divided today's discussion in four parts. First, we will cover what is conventional understanding of material and spiritual duties. When we talk about balancing material and spiritual duties, we have some understanding of what is material, what is spiritual. So we will discuss that. Then we will also spend time understanding, is there some correction required in that understanding? Maybe our understanding of what is material, what is spiritual, may be either wrong fully or partially. What is the right understanding? We'll cover that. Then why we need a balance? Why balance is required? Why it is essential to maintain a good, healthy balance is the third part, the third section of our discussion. And the fourth part, the final part, would be how to strike that balance. And after this discussion, four sections, we will spend considerable amount of time, at least half an hour, 45 minutes, in a question answer session. As we go on discussing, you can jot down the questions, you can share the questions, and I will try my best to take up as many as possible within the permissible time. We plan to end the today's discussion by 6 p.m. So we have totally all put together about 90 minutes. So first, let's understand what is material and what is spiritual. I'll be talking about the conventional understanding, what most of us consider as material and as spiritual. Material duties are duties pertaining to this material body. As we all understand, we are a spirit, soul, and Atma, and today we are entrapped in a material body. We are an embodied soul. So we have a material body, and not only this material body has many material relations which are, so to say, associated with us, material relationships. Our family members, our friends, relatives, near and dear ones. And so all the duties, conventional understanding is all duties relating to our body, our mind, our near and dear ones, for our roti, kapda, makan, for earning our livelihood, our material duties. And everything to do with the soul, the Atma, the real self, for elevation of our consciousness, for our spiritual growth, for emancipation of the soul, for the mukti, such activities are called spiritual. And having read the Gita, understood some bit about spiritual life, we all want to spend good quality time pursuing our spiritual activities. And many times we think that these material activities are sucking a lot of my time. I don't want to spend a lot of time doing these things, but I have no option. In other words, somebody can feel that he's stuck. And that's why many times I've heard people saying like this, I just want to work up to 50, 55 years, earn a lot of money. In fact, sometimes people are quite passionate about earning money in their business or in their work. They're very focused on their career growth. And the understanding what they have is right now I'm engaged in material activities. I understand that spiritual life is very important. So I want to work very hard till I 55 or 60 years. And then once I am financially stable, I have earned enough, I have good savings, then I can completely retire and focus entirely on spiritual pursuits. So, in other words, they have broadly compartmentalized life as material life, which is to do with material aspirations, material duties, and spiritual life, which is to do with elevation of soul. That's how we have a book by Robin Sharma which talks about monk who sold his Ferrari. And most of the people believe that these two cannot go hand in hand. In other words, you should start planning for a day when you can give up everything material and go to the Himalayas or some holy place and completely quote unquote renounce the world and focus on spiritual activities. That's the conventional understanding that there are some material activities which we understand may not be in my real self interest, but we have to do it. Sometimes we have to spend a lot of quality time doing it. It could be our jobs, it could be taking care of our near and dear ones, maintaining those social relationships. So, the right understanding, in fact, in the Gita also, in the first chapter, Arjuna, while the battle is about to begin, when Arjuna understood that he has to fight this battle, he being a Kshatriya, his duty was to fight that battle. He wanted to withdraw himself from that duty. In fact, he told, what's the use of fighting? Let me just beg and earn my living. But the whole Gita was spoken that, yes, you are a Kshatriya, you're a family man, you have to do your duty. So, in other words, we cannot shun away from our duties. We may be placed in a situation where we have to take care of our near and dear ones. So we cannot have a binary, okay, this is all material. I have to somehow, it's a bad bargain. We have to somehow engage and then wait for that opportune time where you can completely give up all this and pursue 100% spiritual life. Right understanding is that while we are engaged in our so-called material duties, our worldly duties, we can cultivate and practice spiritual life. Even Krishna tells Arjuna, Mam anusmarya yudhyacha. You think of me, be conscious of me, and fight. That's why Srila Prabhupada, this society is called International Society for Krishna Consciousness. We can cultivate consciousness and remembrance of Krishna while we are engaged in our so-called worldly duties. International Society for Krishna Consciousness is not meant only for full-time missionaries. It's not meant only for people who are in the renounced order of life. It's meant for everyone, all sections of the society. How we can elevate our consciousness. In fact, Srila Prabhupada wrote one book, Elevation to Krishna Consciousness. How we can practice certain principles, how we can regulate our lives, how we can incorporate the teachings of Bhagavad Gita and practice remembrance of Krishna, being conscious of Krishna while engaged in worldly duties. It is not recommended that a person gives up his worldly duties or renounces his worldly life and make an abrupt shift to spirituality. Because we have to gradually train our mind, gradually cultivate that remembrance of the Lord, cultivate that attachment to the Lord, cultivate spiritual knowledge, and also cultivate detachment, jnana and vairagya. It doesn't happen abruptly. Prabhupada says even if a person abruptly gives up his family life and goes to a forest and renounces everything, his house, his family, his wealth, and he goes to a forest only with a kamandalu, a pot, he can still be in the illusion that this is my kamandalu. That feeling of I and mine is still there. Aham mameti, I and mine. But we have examples of great Rajarishis who were kings living in palaces amidst opulence, but they, because of their elevated consciousness, Krishna consciousness, were free from that illusion of I and mine. In other words, what I am trying to mention is, while engaged in the worldly duties, while still having property, while still having wealth in our possession, we can cultivate gradually by following Krishna conscious principles, the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, the consciousness of nirmama. It is not mine. It is all Lord's. I am not this body. Jnana and vairagya. And yes, if we have sufficiently cultivated at certain stage in life, for example, even in Vedic times, we had Vanaprastha ashrama and sannyasa ashrama. A person at a later stage in life, when things have settled up, can move to a Vanaprastha stage or a sannyasa stage. But it is not true that unless we renounce everything, our family, our work, our jobs, we cannot cultivate spiritual life. It is a wrong understanding. In fact, prematurely it is not recommended to give up our worldly duties and try to pursue spiritual life, quote unquote, 100% in the renounced order of life. Now, the next part is why this balance is required. Now, having said that, we have some worldly duties. We have to go to for our jobs, to earn a livelihood. We have our near and dear ones. Some of them may be interested in spiritual life, some of them may not be interested. We have a relationship with them. They also expect our time, our energy, our affection, our attachment. We cannot shun away from that responsibility. Now, we require a healthy balance. Why the balance is required? It's said that just like in a car we have four wheels, it's said that in this human form of life, these four wheels represent one wheel represents our body, health, physical dimension of our existence, our life. Then we have an emotional dimension. We are emotional beings, our feelings, love. We expect some kind of appreciation. And then we have a social dimension. We are social beings. Man is a social animal. He cannot live in isolation. We live in a community, we live in a society. There are dealings. Our near and dear ones, our community members, our society members, the building in which we are staying, there is a society. So that's another dimension of our existence. And then we have the spiritual dimension. So just like a car, if it has to run smoothly, all the four wheels have to be properly aligned, which is called wheel balancing. Imagine a car which is running on four wheels and one of the wheel, the tire is punctured. You will not have a smooth ride. So spiritual dimension is also a very, very important dimension of our life. And many times if we are off balance, we have neglected that part, we will not be leading a successful life. Again, successful is quite subjective. People have different understanding of what is success. In real sense, in true sense, we will not be able to lead a successful and meaningful life. Now, having said that, spiritual dimension is very important. The very fact that you're attending this session today means, in principle, you agree that yes, spiritual life is important. And you have been also practicing, attending the Gita live sessions or various programs, various spiritual associations. Maybe many of us must be chanting. Now when we start practicing spiritual life, as I mentioned earlier, we might find ourselves one leg on a boat which is predominantly moving in the direction of my spiritual growth, and one leg on a boat which is predominantly moving in a direction for my material growth. Because if we are working, we also have to invest time, energy in upgrading our skills, in meeting the requirements of that job. So it can be, at times we can go off balance, which is understandable. And today's discussion is all about how to strike that balance. They say when people go for examination, there are two people who go with a very, very big smile on their face. Most of you would have guessed who these two people are. We have all gone for examinations, we have written exams in our lives. Two people, two kinds of students go with a very big smile on their face. The first category is students who have not prepared at all. They have not studied, they are not worried about the consequences, the results, because they haven't studied. Even if they fail, doesn't matter. And there's another category of students who go with a very big smile. And that category is students who are prepared very well. They're quite confident, they have well prepared. Whatever the exam paper may be, they're confident they'll be able to answer them well and score good marks. So they are also quite confident, they go with a big smile on their face. The problem is with the in-between category. They are nervous, they are tense, because what if something what they have prepared doesn't come? What if the questions come from a section which they haven't prepared? So all this kind of nervousness can be there. So people, now using the same example, those who are complete materialist, they also seem to be enjoying life. In Hindi, there's a word called bindas. They are, watching television. There is no guilt feeling. They do everything what comes in their mind. There is no rules and regulations guiding them, sleeping at 1 o'clock in the night, watching movies, going to the malls, going to pubs, drinking, partying. And there is no element of guilt feeling, there is no desire to strike any balance. And at times it looks like they are fairly balanced because they have only one life to take care of, and that is material life. It's like the students going for exam with a big smile on the face with no preparation. Their situation is like that. Yes, they have a big smile on their face, but they're going to fail the exam of life. And there's another category of students who are well prepared, come what may, they will get good marks. They're quite confident. They have studied thoroughly well their subjects. So there are category of people who are completely dedicated to spiritual life, always remembering the Lord, always chanting the holy names, always immersed in spiritual activities, and they're also quite well placed, smile on their face. So many of us are in that middle category, and at times we might feel हम ना तो इधर के हैं ना उधर के हैं. Either in the sense neither we are enjoying full material pleasure, we have stopped going to malls, we have stopped going for movies, so we are not having that kind of a pleasure. At least people, when they are stressed out, they can go for some drinks, they can go to pubs, they can go to bars, they can quote and enjoy material pleasures. So that also we have stopped, and we are far away from enjoying real bliss of spiritual life. So at times it can be not a very pleasant experience. At times when you look at your friends who are very materialistic, it might appear that they are happy. Prabhuji in lectures tell that spiritual life is all about happiness, bliss, satchit, ananda, anandamayo. This our bliss will increase, our happiness will increase. But here we are stressed out to chant our rounds, and any principle we break, there's an element of guilt feeling. Always in the mind, there are two forces acting: do's and don'ts. If I do it, if I don't do it, there is a guilt feeling. So we might find ourselves in two boats and may not be a very pleasant experience. So some of us may, seeing the so-called friends very blissful, enjoying material life, might get tempted to step back and enjoy materially, and may have that understanding that yes, I'm still young, still I have family to take care of, I have material responsibilities. Maybe post retirement I'll take up. Yes, I understand spiritual life is important. Yes, I understand Bhagavad Gita is important, but everyone is telling post 65 years, 70 years, I will pursue that. Not now. So some people can give up. The other people might get this thing that no, I should just give up my family life and try to be like Swamiji. Which is not recommended. Yes, we have some examples. We have examples of people who have taken to renounce for Allah. For that matter, me, I also at certain point of time could have joined a job, or I was working in a job, continued working in a job, and would have balanced material and spiritual duties. But I chose to practice spiritual life more sincerely as a missionary, part of the mission. So the next part is how do we strike that balance so that although we might find ourselves in two boats, we there is semblance of peace, sanity, right environment for me to pursue my spiritual aspirations. So I'll give you two examples. One example is of a training workshop which was being conducted. This workshop was to drive home the principles of time management. It was on time management. The workshop was on time management. So the workshop leader, the trainer, the facilitator took a glass jug, a see-through glass jug, and he started putting the big rocks, some stones in that jug. And after having placed that rocks, which he mentioned that this big rocks represents our commitments, some activities which take away a lot of our time, big chunks of our time. So he placed the rocks in that glass jug, and he raised the jug in front of the classroom. All the students were sitting, and he said, "Is the jug full?" So all of them said, "Yes, the jug is full." And then he bent downwards and picked up some gravel, small pieces of stone, and started putting it on top of the jug and started shaking the jug. And those small pieces of gravel or stones started settling down in between those cavities. There was big rocks, and in between those cavities or those spaces were there, they started settling down. And again he raised the jug and said, "Is the jug full?" By this time the students had got little more cautious. They understood he is up to something. They didn't want it to appear foolish. So one of them said, "No, there are still spaces in this jug. We can fill it up still with something." And very true, he bent and he put some sand on top of it and started shaking the jug, and the sand started settling down in between those cavities. And then again he raised the hands. Again, "Is the jug full?" People were more smarter by now, much more wiser. So one of them said, "No, we can put water." Then he started putting water, and the water seeped through all that sand, gravel, and the stones. Then he raised the jug again in the air and said, "Is the jug full?" Most of them said yes, but one of them was, quote unquote, even more cautious. He said, "Maybe we can add some color, maybe we can add some salt." Yes, it's a fact that even if it is full with water, you can add some salt or add some color to it, and it will not take more space, but the salt can disperse in the water. So after having done that, he asked the students, "What do we understand from this experiment or this demonstration?" So many students started coming up with different observations, different learnings which they assimilated from this demonstration. One of them said that, we all think that we are busy, we all think that we are packed, we all think that we have no time, but still there are pockets of time in between our day which we can fill up with more activities. In other words, we might feel our day is packed, but still there are some pockets of time, like while we are having lunch. So these days, a lot of people, while having lunch, may catch up with the news, or catch up with television, or catch up with some reading, or catch up with some, hearing of something. So one of them said that it's all about packing our day, and no matter how busy we may be, still we have a lot of gaps which we can pack. So this person said, "No, that's not the point which I want to drive. The goal of life is not to pack 24 hours and be watertight, in the sense, moment to moment we are busy with some activities and we have no time for recreation, no time to pursue our hobbies, no time to pursue activities which we like doing." That's not the goal of life. That's not time management. So then this person, the facilitator, told that, "What if I put the contents which I had put in this jug in the reverse order? What if I put the sand first, and then the gravel, and then the big rocks? If we try doing that in the reverse order, you will see that we are not able to accommodate as many big rocks which were accommodated in the first place." And then he said these big rocks represents our big commitments of life, big ticket items. Quadrant 2 activities, activities which are important but not urgent. For example, many of us may not be exercising daily, spending time for physical fitness because it is not urgent. It is important. We all know that we should go for a walk, we should spend time exercising, but we may not find time because it's not urgent. It's life is going on. Without exercise also somehow I'm able to manage. So we don't. Reading Bhagavad Gita or reading for that matter any good book. It's not urgent. I may not read for next 7 days. Life still goes on. And one might wonder what's the need. And even if I want to read, I may not have time because my life is packed with so many activities. So exercising, reading, chanting of the Lord's name, chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, it's a quadrant 2 activity. It's very, very important, but it's not urgent. There are a lot of people who are not chanting, but still their life is on. So spiritual activities are quadrant 2 activities. They are important, but they are not urgent. If we have the right knowledge, we'll understand the urgency. Because we don't have the right knowledge, we don't understand the urgency of practicing spiritual life. We always think that still we have a lot of time, I'm still young. Why now? I understand Bhagavad Gita is important, but why now? Post 60, post 65, post 70 years, after everything is settled up, my family, my children, everyone is married, my grandson is also married, I have no responsibilities left, my worldly duties are all over, then I can pursue. So the right understanding is, if we have to manage our time, manage our life, strike a good healthy balance, we have to identify the big rocks. Big rocks means important things in life. Things which are important may not be urgent. And first allocate quality time for those activities. For example, if we realize that yes, chanting is important, reading Bhagavad Gita is important, I should read 20 minutes every day Bhagavad Gita. I should chant 1 hour every day, 8 rounds every day. Assuming a person has that desire and commitment, has made that desire and commitment that I want to chant 8 rounds and read Bhagavad Gita daily. If we are not cautious, if we do not plan our day well, our day can be filled with sand, gravel, which represents all small trivial activities. Going and buying some vegetables, going and making a phone call, checking the WhatsApp messages, watching some television news, getting updated with what's happening in the world. I'm not saying that these activities are not important. I'm not saying that going for vegetable purchase is not important. They are required, but quite possible that our day can be packed with these activities, and at the end of the day when I sit for chanting, I am not having no energy to chant, or no time to chant, or no time to read. That is what happens with many people when they have the desire, but at the end of the day they always sleep with a guilt feeling that last 3 days I have not read. I know I should be reading. I made a sankalp that I'll be reading so much, but I am not able to read. And because I am not able to read, chanting becomes mechanical. Because I am chanting mechanically, I lose taste. Because I lose taste, then I always lead a life with guilt feeling. मैंने ये भी नहीं किया, मैंने ये भी नहीं किया, और materially भी I am not doing well. So a time may come like when a person feel I'm neither na idhar ka na udhar ka. In Hindi they're saying dhobi ka kutta na ghar ka na ghat ka. So that can be a very bad feeling. So now the most important thing is having, and acharyas are saying that this is a big rock, this is very important. Reading Gita is very important. Chanting the names of the Lord is very important. Spiritual practices are very important. In fact, in human form of life, Human form of life is meant for engaging in these activities. Yes, we have to earn our livelihood. Yes, we have to engage in some profession. Yes, I have to engage in some business to earn money. But that money is a means to an end. Today, earning money has become an end. My job has become an end. My career growth has become an end. Acharyas are saying, yes, we have some worldly duties, we have to engage in them, but that's a means to an end. The end is my spiritual growth. So, having understood that the spiritual activities are important, they are like the big rocks. I have to allocate quality time first and not let these activities be at the mercy of so-called other trivial activities, which may be important, but not at the mercy of those so-called trivial activities. Otherwise, life just, our time flies. We get up by the end of the day, we are engaged in so many reading newspaper, doing this thing, doing that thing, watching some news. The time just flies. So, like the big rocks, so assuming that we have made a commitment that I'll chant 8 rounds or I will read for half an hour every day, find quality time, allocate that time. Let that time be not at the mercy of, you know, if you get time after having engaged in all that activity, let it be allocated, stipulated time. And yes, if suppose somebody makes a commitment that I will chant 8 rounds or read half an hour Bhagavad Gita, quite possible that if we do that during the daytime, let's say a person in the evening is doing, a phone call may come or a bell may ring, some visitor might come, it might be little difficult. That's why even so-called materialists, even so-called entrepreneurs, even so-called business people have realized that we can get quality undisturbed time in the morning only. Robin Sharma has written a book called 5 a.m. Club. 5 a.m. Club. This book talks about that how even very prominent big CEOs, business leaders, they all get up early. When they get up early, their time is not at the mercy of others. They can spend quality time doing activities what they feel is important. According to them, it could be planning the day, it could be focusing on what steps to be taken to pursue their goals, reading, sharpening the saw, enhancing their learning. So for all of us, it's very, very important that if we have to spend quality time doing our spiritual practices, we have to get into the practice of sleeping on time, sleeping early, and getting up early. Otherwise, it's really a big challenge. It's very difficult to balance. Early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. So, everyone's situation, circumstances may be different, but we should strive, we should endeavor, we should have that aspiration, we should try our best how we can regulate our life, discipline our life so that we can sleep on time. Good quality rest also is very important. We cannot be sleeping at 12 p.m. or 12 in the night or 11:30 in the night or 1 p.m. in the night and expect to get up at 5:30 and have good freshness for us to chant our rounds or read Gita. No, body needs 6 hours, 5 hours, 5.5 hours of quality rest. So we have to adjust our life so that we can sleep in time and get up in time. Now, there are various, today we will not cover that and will not get into details. Maybe I'll have a separate session on, how to regulate our lives so that we can sleep on time and get up on time. Some do's and don'ts, how we can get into that habit. Maybe I'll have a separate session on that. Now, once we get up in the morning and we have quality time, we can plan. Okay, I will chant my rounds, I will read Gita, I will go for a walk, do some bit of pranayam or exercises. 1 hour, 2 hours, we can spend quality time rejuvenating us spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally. And once we are taken care of, our needs, spiritual needs, mental needs, physical needs are taken care of, we can get into the world to take care of our worldly responsibilities in a proper way. So, when we get up in the morning, as I said, few important things which we have to take care of our spirit. One thing for sure, we have to constantly work on improving the quality of our chanting. Because in Kali Yuga, in our present times, the recommended process for our spiritual growth is Harinama, chanting of the Lord's holy names. So constantly we should strive. Prabhupada has given us the magic figure of 16 rounds. I'm sure many of us, some of us may be chanting 16 rounds, some of us may be just started 1 round, 2 rounds, 5 rounds, 8 rounds. Constantly we should endeavor to improve the quantity and the quality of our rounds. No doubt going beyond 16 may be a challenge for a person who is having a lot of his worldly duties, but there are many people, many initiated devotees who are working, who are having their jobs, who are initiated, who have taken Diksha, who are chanting 16 rounds and also trying to do their worldly duties. So we should aspire to come to that magic number, chant 16 rounds, and constantly, first quantity, and then constantly endeavor to improve the quality of our rounds. And the quality of rounds, perfection, there is no limit. We can always go on improving. Every day we should also spend time hearing Shravanam in association. Shravanam could be in the form of reading Srila Prabhupada's books. It could be hearing Srila Prabhupada's lectures or other discourses, satsang. As I mentioned last time, hearing from a pure devotee is very potent. It may not be very so-called, for our mind, it may not be. We have a lot of speakers who are very charismatic. They crack jokes, speak a lot of stories, and their talks may be very engaging. Maybe we might feel very good after hearing to them. But purity is the force. So we should try as far as possible to hear from devotees like Srila Prabhupada because their words are potent. They are having that ability to bring about the required transformation in the heart. It is not that momentary feeling of feeling good, it's all about purification, purification of our consciousness. So that can happen if we hear from pure devotees. So these are few activities: chanting, hearing, association, reading Srila Prabhupada books, offering some prayers. These can be incorporated in our daily life. So Prabhupada emphasized for us to balance our material and spiritual duties, our life can be like a sandwich. Our day can be like a sandwich. In a sandwich, we have a layer of bread on the top, and then we have a layer of bread on the bottom, and then it has some filling. So we all can strive, we can try, we can aim for a good morning sadhana, which is like the upper part of the sandwich. We can get up early and spend quality 2 hours, 3 hours in pursuing our spiritual aspirations, our spiritual requirement to nourish the soul. And even when we come back from our work, before we retire, before we sleep, generally Prabhupada recommended in the temples that there should be kirtans in the evening and reading of Bhagavad Gita classes. So we can try at least 15 minutes, 20 minutes. We can chant 1 round in the night before we sleep. We can chant 1 round. We can read from Krishna book. We can read few pages from Bhagavad Gita. In other words, again, try to spiritualize our consciousness. Just like when we come back, we wash our face, or sometimes we take bath, because throughout the day we've engaged in different activities, we become tired. So likewise, spiritually also we may get, so to say, our charge, spiritual charge might get, uh, our batteries may get drained. So we can charge a little bit in the night, so that while we sleep with good consciousness, sleep on time. And then again we get up in the morning and engage in spiritual activities. So it's like the sandwich. We have the upper layer, we have the bottom layer, and the filling can be our worldly duties. If we have engaged in our morning sadhana nicely, spent quality time, quality chanting, quality reading, good association, then there's a good possibility that we will remember the Lord, we will engage in right kind of activities, we'll have the strength to make the right choices throughout the day. Life throws up a lot of choices. Every moment there's a choice to do this or that, hear this or that, to hear or not to hear, to see or not to see. Depending on our choices, we can either go down in our consciousness or can elevate. So if we have done good quality chanting, reading, hearing, our prayers, spiritual activities, we'll be having the required knowledge, required strength to make the right choices. If we make the wrong choices, our consciousness saps. So so we have the upper layer, we have the bottom layer, and if we have spent quality time with quality sadhana in the morning and in the evening, then there's a good possibility that the consciousness, Krishna consciousness, will permeate throughout the day. When opportunities come, we will take that opportunities to also incorporate some spiritual activities. For example, when I was working, we used to have lunch break for about 45 minutes. So I would finish my lunch in about 15 minutes quickly, and then half an hour every day during lunchtime I would read Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. I finished some 5 or 6 volumes just in the office. Every day during lunchtime, my friends would be going out, they would go out for lunch and they would be talking, discussing news, talking about cricket, all that. So I would take the packed lunch from home. I was not eating outside, and I would quickly finish the lunch and read 30 minutes. So like that, how do we balance? While we engage in our worldly duties, if we are properly placed with the right consciousness, there are a lot of pockets of time. For example, we are traveling to the office, we are stuck in a traffic jam, or for that matter, we are taking an elevator. We have 3 minutes, 5 minutes, we can chant the names of the Lord. So that way, we can strike a good balance. Start the day with spiritual activities, end the day with spiritual activities, and throughout the day, as far as possible, we try to engage in some kind of remembrance of the Lord, some kind of activities which will help us be more conscious of the Lord. And if we do that, gradually, as I said, jnana and vairagya, the real knowledge will awaken. Our consciousness will get purified, and vairagya, detachment, will also come about. So this is how we should strive to balance, and always pray to Prabhupada, pray to Krishna to give us the right direction, right association, because without their mercy, we may have this knowledge, yes, we should get up early in the morning, but we require their blessings, we require their mercy. Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasado. So we can offer prayers to Prabhupada, we can offer prayers to the Lord to give their mercy, to beg their mercy, so that we can strike a good healthy balance and do justice to this human form of life. So we'll take now some questions. I hope I covered and met the expectations what you had from this session. So now we have some questions. This is from Bala Ganesh. Can software engineer job considered as a prescribed duty or fate karma, Prabhu? How to get out of it if one feels it is a burden? please tell Gita perspective on it. Not only software job, any job. While we are in this material world, we may have certain engagements which we have to, like for example, Arjuna did not want to fight. He was a Kshatriya, it was his duty to fight, but he was reluctant. Krishna said, you do your duty, you fight. But while you do your fighting, think of me, be conscious of me. So as a software engineer, now we do not expect that while you are coding, you're also closing your eyes and thinking of the Lord, doing parallel thing, otherwise, it is dragging you. No. While you are coding, be fully involved, full attention in coding. And as I mentioned, there are some gaps, micro gaps. For example, you're going to the office, you are climbing the stairs, or you are during the lunch break. You can catch up with that. And the results of the work, you are working in a software industry. Yes, while coding, you may not be able to remember. That background thinking is also possible if we have developed our attachment and love for Krishna. Prabhupada gives an example, just like the mother is attached to a child, the child is not at home, but when the child has gone to school, the mother is always conscious. Now it's 3 o'clock, the child is about to return, let me cook this, let me prepare his bedroom. Because the mother has attachment to the child. So we have to engage in activities, spiritual activities, which will increase our love and attachment to the Lord, and simultaneously engage in our worldly duties and do justice to them. We cannot do activities half-heartedly. While I am doing coding, I have to put my attention in coding properly. And in the micro gaps, while I am traveling to the office, there's so many stuck in the traffic, or lunchtime, while returning from the office, I can use my time in hearing something or chanting the names of the Lord and all that. And the results of the work, my salary, some sizable portion, again depends on your financial equations, can give to the Lord for the service of the Lord. That will help us grow spiritually. So it is not the nature of job per se. Even if a person is a software engineer, a person is working in an industry, it has nothing to do with Krishna, still we can try to spiritualize our existence. This question is from Anil Bhargav. How do we keep mind stable and able to do two things, material pursuit and chanting, remembering Krishna? I know that it is not an activity or a thing, but how do I practice my mind to do both of them together? As I mentioned, it is possible. Bhakti Vinod Thakur, who was the who was the father of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was a magistrate. And in fact, we have 12 Mahajanas, out of which 7 or 8 of them were Grahasthas. They were in family, having their family responsibilities and all that. So with proper guidance, as I shared, getting up early in the morning, it is possible to strike that balance. It is not this or that. It is possible that while we are engaged in our worldly duties, we incorporate spiritual practices and strike a balance between the two. Next, this question is from Manas Ranjan Pati. Prabhu, by rendering service to Supreme Lord Krishna, can someone achieve the state of Vairagya? Yes. Jnana and Vairagya. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhagavad Bhakti Yogata. Janati Asu Vairagyam. Jnanam Tad Ahitukam. So two things will happen when we engage in service of the Lord. Devotional service, chanting, hearing, remembering, worshipping, offering prayers. Two things will happen. We will be blessed with jnana, spiritual knowledge, genuine knowledge, and detachment. Detachment. Right now, we get, so to say, pulled in different directions because there are many activities, there are many things which we are attached to, helplessly attached to. We cannot, even if we want to, even if we make resolve, we get pulled in that direction. So automatically a sense of distaste will develop. For example, now cricket match is going on. We know that I should not be spending time. I have limited time. I should not be spending time just 8 hours in front of the television screen watching this thing. But if I'm attached to it, I can't give up. I'm pulled in that direction. So automatically, by practicing this spiritual life, detachment will come. A time will come, the cricket match is going on, but it doesn't interest you. Possible. This question is from Chandrasekhar Vaishnav. What if my spiritual duties are taking the time out of my father's duty? We have to strike the balance. The session is all about balance. Yes, we have duties to our family members. We cannot avoid it. We have to also pay our attention to it. And that's how I said we have to strike a balance. We have to get up in the morning when everyone is sleeping. We can spend time in our spiritual pursuits. And during the daytime, we engage in our duties, which may not be spiritual, but if we have spent quality time in the morning, there's good possibility that we can engage in this so-called worldly duties with the right consciousness and remembrance of the Lord. That is only possible if we have done good quality morning sadhana, and which is done backed with good shravanam, good hearing, good reading. Otherwise, even the chanting and so-called spiritual activities can be done very mechanically and may not have the desired result. This question is from Geeta Kapoor. Mataji, Hare Krishna Prabhu, Danvats Pranam. How to be strong in our morning sadhana? It is a very, very important question. How to do the morning sadhana? How to get up in the morning and spend quality time? If you don't mind, I would like to take a separate session. Maybe if not the next session, I will try as early as possible. A separate session on good morning sadhana. How to build a good morning sadhana. That is the key. Morning sadhana is the key. If we want to just catch up with the chanting throughout the day, yes, we can finish our chanting, but the quality won't be there. If we want to catch up our reading throughout the day, yes, we can read something here and there, but then our attention will not be fully there. So the key is to get up in the morning and do a strong, power-packed morning sadhana. Again, there are many do's and don'ts. We cannot sleep at 1 o'clock in the night and get up early in the morning and do a good sadhana. It requires a lot of balancing, and it is possible. How we can sleep in time, get good quality sleep. So I'll touch on all the topics. You cannot do good quality sadhana unless you have got good sleep. You cannot get good sleep unless you have slept properly. So based on my experience, I'll probably share some tips what can be incorporated in our lives so that we can sleep on time, get up on time, and also get good quality sleep, and with proper consciousness do the morning sadhana. Next question is from Chetan Taneru. Can we read self-help books and apply those principles alongside spiritual principles? In the beginning stages, when we are new to spirituality, it is advisable not to read self-help books because we can get distracted. Point one. Point two is we will not have the required ability to discern, and we can get carried away because there's a lot of people who are quote unquote, they have written something, it is very intellectually stimulating. It may appear that yes, oh wow, what a wonderful thing, Bhagavad Gita is not making such kind of this thing, such a powerful ideas this person is stating. We can also make that person a role model. It is best in the beginning stages to associate with the devotees, share with them the challenges we are facing, take their guidance, and focus more on reading Srila Prabhupada's books, because there is a possibility that we can get distracted and lose the main perspective what Prabhupada is trying to share in his teachings, in his books, and in the Gita. This question is from Bala Gopal Das. How to practice Krishna consciousness while my entire day or time or 24 hours is packed with work stress, or when we have night shifts where waking up early is a problem due to work stress. Every one of us are in certain circumstances which, much against our wish, we have landed ourselves in. and it is predominantly because of our own karma. I gave example of a cow tied to a pole. The length could be 3 meters, could be 6 meters, could be 10 meters, could be 20 meters. Based on the length of the rope, the cow has freedom to move. Now, one could be in a situation that he has no option but to work for 12 hours. The job is very stressful and he has no time. He has to work in night shift, and it's quite possible. We cannot deny that somebody's circumstances may not be very favorable to pursue spiritual life. Doesn't matter. We have landed in the circumstances. It's our own doing. First, let's take responsibility. There is no point in crying over spilled milk. Whatever has happened has happened. Make best use of the bad bargain. Now, Krishna has sanctioned that circumstances to you based on the choices we have made in the past. There's no point in cribbing, crying, I am like this, I am so unfortunate, I can't do this, and be in a victim mentality. Do the best you can in your circumstances. Best you can. Yes, if you're working in the night shift, you may not be able to get up in the morning, you may want to sleep late. Do the best you can. Again, best you can, you are the best judge. What's your circumstances? You know the principles. Do the best you can in those circumstances, and if you do that, Krishna is very kind, very merciful. He will gradually change the circumstances. Some of us may be in a circumstances where we can sleep on time, get up on time, get up early, so we use that. If we are not in that kind of circumstances, we pray to the Lord. We do the best we can in the circumstances we are in, and Krishna will slowly change the circumstances. Krishna is all powerful. He wants us to practice spiritual life seriously. And if we show our determination, our resolve that I want, and He will make the changes. And anything is possible for the Lord. He is all powerful. He has sanctioned, the law of karma is working under His direction. He can make an exception to that law of karma. Even if our karma is bad, if He wants, He can make an exception. So let's pray to Him. This is question from Anil Bhargava. I feel like I should chant before sunrise, but I am able to do 2-3 rounds only before sunrise. Is it secondary, less good than doing it before sunrise, or to do chanting after sunrise? It is said that all spiritual activities, if done during Brahma Muhurta, before sunrise, the potency is much higher. We are in a better position to do those activities. That's why all over you will find Brahma Muhurta time, spiritual activity is generally being recommended in the morning time. The temples open during the morning time. Morning time is very replete with Sattva Guna. There's less distraction. So try, again, I don't know your circumstances. If your circumstances are so overwhelming that you can't get up in the morning and you can do only 1 or 2 rounds in the morning before sunrise, see if you can work around your circumstances and get up early. The best would be if we can sleep early and get up early and try to do most of our spiritual activities in the morning before other people wake up, before we get busy with so-called material duties. Next question. This is from Sudipto Chatterjee. My question, desire for profit in business, is it wrong or right? Is dealing in share market permitted? Desire for profit in business is not wrong. Desire to earn money is not wrong. Money is not Maya. Depends on how we use it. So again, engaging in business depends. Main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. It should not happen that we get so engrossed in our work, so engrossed in our business, so sucked in stock market that our whole mind is got diverted from the main thing. That should not happen. We can engage in business activities, we can earn money, provided we have the right knowledge, right guidance, how to not misuse that money. We can earn a lot of money and use that money in Lord's service, and it can purify us. Share market, again, it is recommended that we stay away from it. But assuming that somebody is investing in some stocks long term, for let's say 1 year, he is not on a day-to-day basis monitoring the NAV, monitoring the stock values, should I sell, should I buy, always in anxiety. If that is not the case, there is no harm to invest in stock market, but it should be some kind of a long-term investment. This stocks, let's say somebody is buying shares in a very reputed company, and he knows that for the past trend for last 5 years an annual growth is of 10% or 12%, so he parks the money and just let it grow. That's okay. But on a daily basis, keeping a track of what's happening with the stock, should I buy, should I sell, that amounts to some bit of speculation, and it can distract us, agitate our mind, and distract us from spiritual pursuits. We should try to avoid such kind of transactions. This question is from Krishnamurti Kota. Most Indians have not in pursuit of making money for day-to-day livelihood, as they feel spirituality is meant for only those who have time and money at their disposal. What advice is for them? As I mentioned earlier, somebody's circumstances can be so overwhelming that his majority of the time is just going in earning money for his roti, kapda and makan. 12 hours, 14 hours he has to do it. Again, as I mentioned, the circumstances can be very overpowering. We cannot deny that. Let's do the best we can in those circumstances. Even if we may be in circumstances where we have no time, we don't have money, we have to work for 14 hours, 15 hours just to earn bare livelihood. We are not rich enough. We don't have the luxury that we can spend 4-5 hours and be happy with the money what I earn and it takes care of all my requirements. Still, let's do the best we can, and Krishna can change the circumstance, can make more time available to us for our spiritual pursuits. This question is from Krishna Kumar. Is it important to do Maha Mantra Japa before our morning walk and our yoga exercise? I think that is depends on what is more comfortable. The key point is we should chant our rounds when we are in a good state, when we are fresh. So if you feel that after taking morning walk you are more fresh and then you can chant better, do it. If you feel that after chanting you can go for a morning walk, that is also fine. Again, it depends on what suits you. There is no prescription per se that it should be done before morning walk or after morning walk. Many things we should know the principle, and application we can, using common sense and some guidance. Application can vary from person to person because everyone's circumstances are unique. So as far as application is concerned, we have to use some intelligence. Principle is what? We should spend quality time in chanting. We should spend quality time in engaging in different spiritual activities. Having understood that principle, we can make some minor tweaks and choose the right kind of, apply the right kind of things so that these principles are respected and taken care of. Next question is from Guru Prasad. How to control material desires? We don't have to control material desires. Artificial repression will not work in the long run. We have to engage in spiritual activities, follow the do's and don'ts which Srila Prabhupada is sharing with us in his books, and automatically purification happens. Automatically purification of our desires happens. We cannot repress our desires. Automatically we will develop the right kind of desires. Automatically knowledge will awaken in our hearts. With that knowledge we will be able to discern that yes, I should not pursue these desires. It is not good for me. We will have the required knowledge to discern that these are the desires which I should aspire for, which I should work towards. So we don't have to repress. We have to pursue spiritual activities sincerely, and the right guidance, the right knowledge, right detachment will come about automatically. This question is from Ram Sampat Kumar. What do you mean exactly by quality of chanting, Prabhuji? Um, Quality of chanting. Chanting is a very big subject. I will not be able to do justice in next 5-10 minutes, even if I take 10-15 minutes in answering this question. I would strongly recommend on the YouTube there is a channel, uh, Soulful Japa. You search for Soulful Japa. Madhu Pandit Prabhu, who is the president of ISKCON Bangalore, chairman of Akshaya Patra Foundation, he's been conducting these sessions practically every day, and all the recordings are there on the YouTube. It's called Soulful Japa. I strongly recommend that if you want to improve your quality of chanting, you can very systematically go through those japa modules. Don't be in a hurry. Each module is for about 35-40 minutes. Start with one, because chanting we are going to do for the rest of our lives. Don't be in a hurry that you want a quick fix for your chanting. We require the right understanding of what is japa, what is quality chanting. In fact, all the devotees who are watching this today's session, I strongly recommend that you go through these modules, go very systematically. Now, since this is a lockdown period, if you feel that you have more time at your disposal, if you're lucky enough to have more time at your disposal, spend this time in watching these videos. Go video 1, video 2, video 3, very systematically Prabhu is explaining what is chanting, what is Nama Avatara, why we should chant, how we should chant, very systematically is covering. And if we go through this video systematically, I am very, very confident, I very confidently can say the quality of our chanting will improve. This question is from Manish Kumar. Hare Krishna Prabhu. It is written in Bhagavad Gita, devotional service is better than reading Vedas. What is this, Prabhu? Sometimes people do not understand Vedas after full reading. It is said in the Gita, Vedescha sarver aham eva vedya. Veda is a vast body of knowledge, and we can get lost if our desire is to read all the Vedic literatures. So Prabhupada has emphasized that focus on only two books, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. These two books have enough knowledge for our spiritual emancipation and growth. We don't need, although there are many Vedic literature, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Upanishads, Puranas, different things there. And many of them which are relevant, Prabhupada has quoted in his books, has quoted in Bhagavatam, in Bhagavad Gita. So we have limited time. Even if we want to, if we are engaged in our worldly duties, we can hardly get more than half an hour, 1 hour in a day to read. So let's be very focused. Let's spend time reading Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and mainly be focused on our spiritual growth. And these two books have all the instructions, all the knowledge required for our spiritual growth. This question is from Shyam Vasani. How to get that attachment? I do it for the sake of it, but not with true attachment. Please help. Yes, in the beginning stages, we don't have attachment for Krishna. We don't have attachment for chanting. In the beginning stages, that bhakti or our devotional activities, they fall under the category of sadhana bhakti. Sadhana bhakti is all about rules and regulations, obedience. If we go to a doctor has given us a prescription, take these injections, take these medicines twice in a day. We may like, we may not like, the taste of the medicine may be bitter, but if we obey the doctor, we will get cured. So likewise, in the beginning stages, getting up in the morning will be difficult, chanting the rounds may not be this thing. I often say, material pleasures is nectar in the beginning, it's poison in the end. For a man seeing a naked woman, it's nectar, but it is poison in the end. Spiritual life is almost the opposite. It is apparently, it looks like poison in the beginning. We may not have taste. We are not enjoying that spiritual bliss which great devotees are enjoying. And life is all about don't do this, don't do that. And it can be very distasteful. It's apparently poison in the beginning, but if acharyas are not cheating us. If Prabhupada is saying avoid meat eating, intoxication, gambling. They have no selfish agenda. They're not selling a product for their some material profit. They know that we are suffering in ignorance. Out of compassion, they are giving this instruction. Krishna is sharing this instruction to help us out of his compassion. When Krishna is telling us regulate the senses, it is for our own good. From the very beginning, regulate the senses, Krishna is saying. Krishna has no selfish motive to give this instruction. Anything we hear in this material, all television, there is somebody sitting there with a selfish agenda. Any product being promoted, there is a selfish agenda behind that. Acharyas have no selfish agenda. If they are asking us to do something, if they are asking us to follow something, it is purely out of compassion for our real self-interest. Initially, we should follow just because Prabhupada is saying, just because Acharya is saying, just because Krishna is saying, just because Krishna is recommending in the Gita, I will follow. I like it, I don't like it. I get a taste, I don't get a taste, I follow it. That should be the spirit in the beginning. Because as I said, spiritual life apparently is like poison in the beginning. It's nectar in the end. So initially it might be look like, we are neither here nor there. Neither we are enjoying spiritual bliss, nor we are enjoying material pleasures. We have stopped watching television, we have stopped going for malls, we have stopped doing this thing, but neither we are enjoying spiritual bliss. We have to pass through that stage. This question is from Chandrasekhar Vaishnav. My spiritual activities are taking always 2 hours of my quality office hours. Please advise what to do. Again, we have to, as I mentioned earlier, we have to balance, strike a healthy balance. You don't have to take quality time from your office hours. I'm sure your office is not expecting you to put in 18 hours of time in the office. Try to have a good discussion with your boss. Set the right expectation. Be efficient in your work. A lot of people spend time in cafeteria, in gossiping, watching some news. Be focused in your work. If your work is output driven, try to be very efficient in your work so that you can give the same output in less time. And define the boundaries if possible. Have a discussion with your boss. And don't eat your office time for spiritual activities. Find time, like I said, get up early in the morning before you go to the office. Spend quality time doing your chanting. Chandrasekhar Vaishnav, I am having zero interest in reading books. Can it be replaced with just hearing alone? Yes, hearing Srila Prabhupada, it's basically spiritual association, Shravanam. If initially we don't have taste in reading, yes, we can hear Srila Prabhupada. As I told, there are many devotees lectures available on YouTube, on SoundCloud, but give priority to hearing from advanced devotees, senior devotees, hearing from Srila Prabhupada. That will bring about the required transformation. Yes, and Prabhupada also mentions we should also develop a taste. Initially, when a person starts drinking liquor, it's not very tasty, it's not very palatable, it's very bitter. That people don't drink necessarily because of the taste. So initially when we read also, it may not be very tasty, but we have to develop, cultivate that taste, and it is possible. Once you develop the taste for reading, then you would like to read more and more. Just 2 days back, I received a call from one of the devotees. He's attending here, Mr. Shirish. He said that he was, not finding time for reading, but then he started reading Bhagavatam first canto, and in last 5 days he finished the first canto because it's so interesting. Once you develop the taste, then you want to read more and more, more and more. Why 1 hour? You want to read more. And so that one should be blessed with that taste. We can pray to the Lord for that taste. Once we have the taste, we would like to read more and more. This question is from Neeraj Bhaderia. How to be regular in your routine? This is a common issue. Prabhu, please guide. As I mentioned, we will take another session dedicated on how to regulate our life so that we can sleep on time, get up on time, and have a good quality morning sadhana. We'll have a separate session on that. And once we go through that session, we may get some practical tips how to incorporate that in our lives. This question is from Shyam Vasani. How to get attachment to Krishna? Chant mantras but no feelings. What to do? Help. So as I mentioned, the chanting can be mechanical. So if we can go through this soulful japa modules, which is there on the YouTube, which I just now mentioned, our chanting will no longer be mechanical. We will understand why we are chanting. We will understand that how chanting is such an important activity. We'll have the right context. We'll feel how grateful we are that Lord has descended on our tongue. We'll have the right understanding that how it's a wonderful opportunity for me to touch the Lord, to associate with the Lord who has come in the form of His holy name. Once we have all that knowledge, then our chanting will not be a burden, will not be mechanical. So I strongly recommend all the devotees who want to improve the chanting quality, please type Soulful Japa in YouTube and you will have a lot of modules, Madhu Pandit Prabhu taking those sessions. Please go through them and it will help a lot. This is question from Tara Sitara. Is it necessary to join any organization like yours or Brahma Kumaris or Art of Living to follow dedicatedly to bring this balance in life? We require association of devotees for proper guidance. We all need guidance. Even in our schools, we went to school, we had teachers, we had well-defined curriculum, we had textbooks. We went through them, and that's how we grew in our material understanding, in our understanding of physics, chemistry, maths. It didn't happen automatically sitting in our homes. So yes, organization, I'm talking about it is important that we associate with sincere, advanced devotees. Hear from them, read their books, follow their teachings, get their guidance, which is very important for us to pursue the right path. Next question. This question is from Saurabh Heda. I used to do sadhana for almost 5 years, but I was continuously getting pain in the material world with no success in study or relationship, so I left doing sadhana. As I mentioned earlier in my talk earlier, yes, when I see that I'm not getting immediate results, when I see that my friends and others who are not practicing spiritual life, they are happy. There is a temptation to go back. When you are in two boats, one leg here, one leg there, and the boats are moving in opposite direction, there is a temptation to step into one boat. And the path of least resistance is to step in the boat going towards material. That's path of least resistance because everyone is going in that direction. Everyone is watching movies. Everyone is in the process of sense gratification. So it is very easy that when we face some difficulties in our spiritual life, there's a temptation to go back to old ways. But it is not recommended. There may be difficulties, there may be challenges. With the help of devotees, by hearing them, by getting strength from reading Srila Prabhupada's books, we should remain steadfast. And Prabhupada says 3 qualities we should have. We should be enthusiastic in practicing spiritual practices. We should be patient. You're saying 5 years. Yes, at times we may have to pursue this spiritual life, that struggle for much longer duration to see the desired results. Whatever efforts we are putting are contributing for our spiritual growth. For example, if a person is hitting the rock with the idea to break the rock, every hit may not be bringing about a change in the rock. The rock may not be breaking. First hit, second hit, third hit, 15th hit, 20th hit. There's no change in the rock. So one might feel that all these hits are of no use. Better let me give up. But quite possible, 21st hit, you hit the rock and the rock cracks. Now, it might appear that all the 20 hits what I made were of no use. but the fact remains that all that hits have contributed. So if you feel that in 5 years you did not bring about, you can do some bit of introspection. Did I do it sincerely? Was the chanting quality, was it backed with proper hearing? Did I associate with devotees? Did I read Srila Prabhupada books? Quite possible some elements were missing. And try to incorporate that. Do not lose heart. Again, even if we have stopped, we can again start, and we can definitely will meet with success. So time is up. It's already 6 o'clock. We will meet again next Sunday, same time at 4:30 p.m. Look forward to having for this association. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.